And all right. Welcome back to the Black Ribbon Warrior podcast. This is Lee, your host, and I am joined by my lovely bride, Honey Darling, and I'm tongue-tied.
Can you even talk?
No, I cannot. It's been a whirlwind a few days.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I am joined by my lovely bride. Yeah, my lovely bride, Honey, Darling, and Dear.
Hey.
Ooh. So it is July 3rd today.
It is.
And we are coming at you from a known to us location. Mm-hmm. It's not the bear cave.
No, it's not our closet.
Yeah, not the closet, so I hope everything's good. Traveled with all the equipment, and everything seemed to have made it fine. I forgot how to hook the darn thing up. But we had a very busy weekend. Mm-hmm. So we traveled up Friday night, through the night, got here like 4:30 in the morning. Got some rest in. My nephews and niece came over right away. And my brother.
I went to the store and unexpectedly saw my best friend.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to have trouble with this because I'm using the original little tripod, so I'm like leaning over instead of the...
You're going to be fine.
Instead of the handheld mic, or the extension. But anyway, so you got to see her for one of your best friends.
Mm-hmm. I did.
For coffee.
Easily one of my best friends for, 20 years.
Oh, easily, yeah. Probably longer than that. Because our oldest one was in competition cheerleading when she was like 5 or 6.
This is 93, 98, 03, 20 years.
Yeah, easily 20 years.
20 years. She's kind of my grounding. You have your grounding, and I have my grounding.
Yep.
And she's easily my grounding.
And
but she was not supposed to be here.
Yep.
She wasn't supposed to be in town, and so I just texted her, hey, I'm going to Kroger because it is my favorite place, your favorite grocery store. I will forget things just so I can go, and
which she did on purpose.
And I just sent her a text and said, hey, we're here. I'm going to Kroger. And the next thing I know, my phone was ringing, and she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Kroger. She goes, but where? I said, by the sodas. And out she popped.
Yep. And so you guys got to catch up. That was really cool.
We did. We did our life solving and our life plan and our vents and our rants and our joys and our blessings for about an hour and a half in the little Starbucks inside the Kroger.
Yep. And I slept what I could, and then ended up going. My brother came over with his 2 boys and daughter. So that was really cool, getting to catch up with them. And you would think that our kids, they talk via text and whatever, and they see each other, and whatever. And they see each other maybe once a year, but they latch on like they've been together the whole time. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think our girls are fortunate that they have cousins they can do that with. Yeah. On your side, on my side, it's I come from I have a very, very, very small family. Like we could all fit in a minivan together, and you have a very, very large family. And so it's nice to see that they can communicate and stay in touch with both sides.
So I was one of 13 grandkids. Mm-hmm. If that tells you how big our family is.
And I only have one cousin.
Yep. And speaking of that, we went to my grandma's to go see her, and I had gotten news recently that she fell. She walks with a cane. She's
supposed to.
Yep, she's 94, or 91.
I was like, she's not 94.
For some reason, I keep saying 94, but she's 91. And she tripped over the threshold between the kitchen and the living room. And they've got like a little rug there, a small piece of carpet is what it is. But what's not ironic, but Grandpa passed a long time ago.
Yeah, Peyton was a baby.
And that's still there. And the reason why it was there is because he'd come in for lunch from farming, and he would eat his lunch, and then he'd lay down and take a nap. And because he didn't want to change his clothes out of the dirty work clothes, he laid on a scrap of carpet. So that scrap of carpet's still there. And she tripped over it, and she fell and hit our life alert, and everybody showed up and everything. But the funny thing is, when we went, we took her a couple gifts. We always try to take her a couple gifts. Yeah, we always like to take her wine.
That's what she likes. It's not because we're putting anything.
Yeah, she likes
on her. She likes it.
She likes a good wine, even a bad one. She doesn't mind.
Right,
but
just sweet, just a little sweet side.
So we stopped and got the little. I know you guys have seen them. They're the 4-pack of little bottles. But I'd say yay big for the people watch on video. But there was 4 mini bottles in a pack, and she looked at me and she said, "Why did you get the little bottles? That's different." And I looked at her and I said, "Grandma, when you're going to the kitchen and you get something out of the fridge, you can grab this little mini bottle, stick it in your front pants pocket, and it will not inhibit or interfere with your cane or walking with it." And she was like, "Oh my, you have put way too much thought into this." And I was like, "Well, gotta think of you and all." And she had told me months and months ago that her sister had came in town and brought her like a mixed bag of candy. And in this mixed bag of candy had York peppermint patties. And she
thought they were cute, that they were little.
She thought they were cool because they were the fun size. And she was telling me, she goes, "I haven't had these York peppermint patties since I was a kid." Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the way she was making me thinking, she hasn't had these in 80 years.
I thought she said that her son brought her some at some point too.
But the story that she was telling me, it took her back to her childhood. Now, whether that was really the last time, we don't know. But that was the time that she remembered. So, of course, being the rotten kid of the whole bunch, I'm trying to get back into the good graces of Grandma.
I think you're there. I think you all are there.
I stopped and got her a box at Sam's Club that has 175. And I told her, if you eat those one a day for the next 6 months, then you'll be out and I'll have another box brought up to you. And she just started laughing. And my dad, he's been stopping by every now and again. And he said he hadn't seen her that lively in quite a while. So that was a good thing. That was a real good thing.
Yeah, it was nice.
And then we went back to... So my grandpa, I don't even know when, long before I was born, he built a pond, dug a pond out on the property, and they built a little shelter house, and since then it's like doubled in size. The shelter house has, and it's always been family gatherings and
all important events, even for us.
And shindigs.
All important events have happened.
Yep, birthday parties.
Baptisms, adoptions, all this stuff. It's at the pond.
Confirmation parties, anything that had to do family wise was back there. And so every year, the 4th of July, that Saturday they have a big party. And so she was like, "Well, you got to get back there. You got to get back there." I'm like, "Grandma, look, I ain't seen these people in 2 years, some of them a year. They can wait 10 more minutes." And she's like, "Well, I don't want you to run out of food." I'm like, "Look, Grandma, I'm fat. I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to wither away." But I think she really wanted this just to go good so she'd get in the wine.
I think she just wanted to do her thing and not be bothered.
Yeah, she might have been wanting her, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't take the hint. I kept standing up like, come on, your grandma's asked you to go. Like, just listen to what she says.
Yeah.
You'll come see her again and she'll be happy you're here. But right now, you've interrupted what she was doing.
Yep. So then we went back, and the kind of, I don't want to say nervousness around it, but the significance of this 4th of July party for us was 2 years ago, right before the bottom fell out of my cancer journey. Like, we were standing on the edge and trying to figure out something's going on. This was the last big trip.
Yeah, this was the last bit of normalcy.
Yeah.
I think that for an event we had. And it's odd because we hadn't come up for it for quite a few years. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't make the journey up for the 4th of July. And that year we decided to. You know, we had a couple other things going on up here.
Yep. So that was also I had one cousin that had passed away
in November.
Abruptly.
Mm-hmm. Before.
Unexpectedly is the word I'm looking for. And because everything was shut down, they couldn't do an actual service or any kind of celebration of life. So they tagged that onto the 4th of July, and we made sure we came up for that.
Right. So, yeah, so we came up for that reason. And it was, we didn't know that it was the last normalcy. We didn't know that was, that was our last event. Because we've talked before about prior to cancer that this was normal.
Yeah.
And now this is our new normal. So that was our last normal event.
Yeah. And we knew something was wrong because, and I was thinking it was concussion. Seriously, I was thinking concussion. I didn't think, never once did a tumor in the brain cross my mind. Or tumor on the brain. Not in
Even after you knew you had cancer, you didn't believe it. You just kept thinking, it's an infection. I'll be fine.
And I still, to this day, have a hard time believing that there was a doctor, like on Grey's Anatomy, that had my brain exposed and was digging around.
Oh, well, I believe it because he made me want to throw up.
But that's hard for me to believe still. But like I told my one girl cousin, I said, at that time I looked at you and we made eye contact and I had absolutely no idea who you were. And she was like, really? I said, yeah. That's why I was like, we were stood there in front of you for half an hour and didn't know who you were. And then when I saw you, I was like, oh, did you just walk in? You're like, no, we've been sitting right here and you've been looking at me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know who he was. But, so that was, I don't know whether, it was a little different feeling than just the normal coming back for a family gathering. I don't want to say nervousness or anxiety, but it was just a different feeling.
I almost feel like it was, for me, it was like a full circle.
Yeah. So
it was kind of a full circle. Like, we knew something was up then, and then we got into everything. And for the next 2 years, year and a half,
because it was
everything was based around your health.
Within about 4 or 5 weeks of this time last year was brain surgery. I mean, we had found out everything.
It was a little longer, but like 3 days after we came back, because everybody always wants to know, well, when you heading home? And we're like, oh, we have to head home here. He has a test that he has a doctor's appointment that we can't miss. And that was the ultrasound, which led us to the oncologist, Yeah,
which then led us to ER, which led us to brain surgeon.
Yeah.
I mean, everything rolled, like steamrolled.
And I think we were naive at that moment. Because we're like, oh, it's just a little stupid ultrasound. Yep. For being that I work in this and they always pull an ultrasound first. Your knee hurts. Let's get an x-ray, then let's get an ultrasound. Let's get an x-ray, let's get an ultrasound. Let's get this, let's get an ultrasound. Which
I also found out that is insurance protocol.
Yes.
If you do not follow step by step, insurance won't cover it.
Yeah.
So even though the ultrasound was kind of pointless, you had to have it or the insurance wouldn't cover
I mean, it had a value. It told a little bit, but in my brain, it was just kind of like, oh, ultrasound is like the new standard, and we're going to do something else after the ultrasound. And we did. We ended up with a PET scan. Which, you know what, I was thinking the other day, you've only had one.
Yeah.
Like, some people have continuous PET scans.
I think it depends on the type of cancer.
But I was just...
Because some cancers, the PET scan won't show in detail as... Kind of like the CT scan doesn't show as well as an MRI.
Right. But it was just... When you think of cancer, you always think you're going to have PET scans.
Yeah.
Because those are the scans for cancer specifically. And you had one in July of 2021, and we've never had one, and there's been no discussion of having one again. It just hit me the other day, like you haven't had any other PET scans. That's all. We've had 110 other things, but we haven't had more PET scans. That's all.
But it was the shindig was really awesome. You know, I got to spend a lot of time with some cousins and aunts and uncles and
some friends.
The friends that I had, people I hadn't seen,
cousins.
Or when I have seen them in the last 2 visits, I was still like zombie and wasn't really with it to enjoy conversation or even have a good conversation. Right. So that was really nice to kind of be able to have a conversation with somebody. My one cousin, one of my younger cousins, told me he listens to this, and shout out Kenny, hello. And you know, he was telling me how much he enjoys it, and then you said he pulled you aside and talked to you about.
Yeah, I didn't know that he had talked to you. I just, it was kind of cool.
Yeah. So, you know, hey, I've had some people tell me that they watch the videos.
His call, when I called him to tell him about you, I was like, this is odd. I've never talked to you on the phone. Like, I've been married to you now, well, with you since 2000. Yeah. And I talk to this cousin. I can bullshit with this cousin. I can, you know, we're sarcastic. We're dark. We can be humorous. We can be serious. We can just pick at each other. And
he's like 5 or 6 years younger than me.
But I'd never talked to him on the phone. So I was like, hey, this is odd, number one. I've never talked to you on the phone.
Which there was a lot of cousins when we were doing that the one in Florida, when I talked to him, because it was harder to text and it was just easier for me to call. So if somebody had texted me, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? I would just call. And they're like, well, you didn't have to call. And I'm like, no, look, I can't type. So it was easier to call.
I mean, you can't type great anyway.
Yeah.
But at this point, it was harder even.
So that was probably the first time that I talked to Kenny on the phone without him being like 3 o'clock in the morning and
having a great time. That's what I gotta say. Having a great time.
Yeah, a few adult beverages in his young age.
I said we only had to say having a great time.
You know, other than that, and my other cousin in Florida, that was probably the first time I talked to him in years. We text a lot. And then he's like, you know, the last time we seen each other face to face was probably 2016 or 18. And I was like, nuh-uh. And yeah, it really had been that long. But we talk, like text, all the time. So,
right.
As but it was good.
Our kids, I thought it was really cute and very fun to see, because now our girls are part of the older cousin club.
Oh, yeah.
They're the older cousin club. Because after our girls, and our oldest nephew, after that age, there's like a 3-year break. Yeah. And then there's a series of kids right there. And then there's like another 3 or 4 year break. And then they're younger. So watching our girls and our nephew, a part of the older cousin club, watching them all get together.
They didn't miss a beat.
And just enjoy each other's company.
Yep.
Without...
And what's ironic
without judgment, without any loss, like you said, of time, of some of them hadn't talked to each other for a while, or maybe didn't really spend time together, but now they're part of the older cousin club.
Yep. And a lot of that's because my oldest cousin, his son is my godson. And him and I ran around together for years. And my brother was 4 years younger than me, so he missed out on a lot of that. So I'm actually closer with my oldest cousin than I am probably my brother, easily.
Well, yeah, you're
and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean it's just
very different. You guys shared a lot more life experiences. Together, a lot of memories are together, and our oldest daughter and their two oldest children
are about the same age.
Are the same ages, so and they get along well and they run together. So it was kind of, it just kept being re-encouraged.
So, but where I was getting was my nephew there, my brother's oldest. He's the same age as Cub. Well, you're younger.
You're younger.
And he hadn't hung out with my cousins, well, our cousins' kids.
Right.
So when the Cubs come up and when Pay and Nolan are in, and then they're like, Logan, come on. And he's like, man, I don't know. You know, he's like 17 and I didn't know these, like he said last night, I didn't know these cousins like I do now. You know, just being able to hang out and do this, all the random conversations and stuff they were doing.
There's also the difference of when you go through the cousin list, okay, when you start at the top, we go through the cousin list. The oldest cousin is a boy, okay? The oldest cousin is a boy.
Yep.
And then you have girl, boy.
Yeah.
So it was easier to hang with this boy to find like friends and other things.
That's where my oldest cousin and I hung out a lot. You know, in our younger days, where my brother and
even when
my cousin in Florida and Kenny all hang out together.
Yeah.
So we hung out with our age groups.
Well, and we had kids growing up to be the same age. So when our two were babies, your older cousin also had babies.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we all had those babies, so we kept the babies together, and we do
so
things that it was babies.
If you're from a big family, then you kind of get where, you know, your kids and somebody else's kids are at the same stages in their life, and this is somebody that you ran around with and all that and hung out with before. You know, you kind of go through these things together, and it was good to sit down with him and his mom and dad
and
sister and you know we were just talking, and you know they were asking questions because my uncle's got some things he's looking at doing too, but it's not melanoma, so
that's good.
That was a blessing. But they were like, you know, okay, so what's the story here? Where are we at? What are we doing? And we kind of was able to go through, not exact timeline, but roundabout and talk more open, you know, and they were like, holy shit, you guys have been through. We're like, yeah, you don't, I mean, it's crazy. And then my uncle was he's like, well, now wait a minute. So the stuff you're going through, like the brain fog and all this and forgetting, he goes, I do that now.
He goes, so you're just 20 years advanced.
Yeah, and I said, but I'm 20 years younger than you. And he goes, yeah, you're just 20 years in advance. And I kind of chuckled and I said, ironic you say that, because they told us that once you go through these cancer treatments, it ages your body 10 to 15 years. And he looked at me, he goes, really? Yeah. So I'm not too far behind you, like physically.
Right. Well, and the other big thing that we haven't addressed is we did go to the doctor this week.
Yes. So that was and we didn't even tell Grandma. We'll have to tell her when we get back.
Yeah, we went to the doctor on Tuesday.
Yep.
He tried to scare the living crap out of me. It didn't scare you because you're not aware.
Yeah.
So when we went in, like we had your brain scan, okay?
We had to do the MRI, and then we had to go
do labs.
And which then, I was surprised they didn't take as many vials or a urine sample, so I was a little thrown off by that.
Well, and so we were supposed to see oncology at 10.
Yeah, we're supposed to see dermatology first.
No, yes, you're supposed to be dermatology.
It was supposed to be dermatologist and then oncology.
And when we walked in, the oncology nurse is who puts you on the scale. And, and she said he wants to see him now.
Well, she wanted to see because if they didn't want us to wait because there was another dermatology appointment there, but they had an opening for oncology. So they wanted to flip-flop our appointments.
It was kind of like he wants to see, he has time, he wants to see him now. And I was like, well, why are we flip-flopping this whole thing around, right? Like, we learned the reason afterwards, but at the beginning it was like, can we take him now?
Yeah.
And so then we got in the office and we waited. And your doctor never makes us wait, right?
Well, and I knew the MRI scan wasn't in yet.
Well, and I knew that I hadn't gotten it in.
Right.
Because it could be done in an hour or 2 hours, but he typically looks at your scan before he sees you. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm waiting for 20 minutes. Then we are waiting in the office for 20 minutes. We never wait that long for him, ever. And then he walks in, he sits down, he says, how are you feeling? Do you have any headaches? My stomach just dropped because I'm like, it's that crazy play that we play in our head, right?
Yeah.
It's that crazy play. I was like, is this why you wanted to see him first? You want to get the bad news out of the way? You want to see him immediately after you read the scans? But I didn't know you didn't read the scans until you told me you didn't read the scans. So I'm thinking he's read the scans. He's seen the scans. And he wants to see you right away because maybe we're jumping another appointment in this day.
You're right.
That's what I thought. And then we had to wait. And then when he sat down and he said, are you having headaches? I was like, oh shit, it's back. And you were like, no. And you're like, really? Nothing? No, nothing's going on? No headaches? No. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, here it comes.
Yeah, because at that point I was thinking he was just like, okay, so we're like looking for symptoms of detox, kind of like that.
I was looking at, he saw a tumor.
Oh.
That's where my brain went.
Yeah, no, he's looking for side effects of detox.
And then he said, I haven't looked at your scans yet. And my body just relaxed. And I wanted to be like, start with that. Don't start with, are you having headaches?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Any blurred vision? Any dizziness? Anything going? Don't start with that. It's a horrible way to start the exam.
Yeah.
Hi, I haven't seen your scans. Okay, now ask those questions. Hi, I haven't looked at anything. Hi, I just wanted to go to lunch early, and that's why I moved your appointment.
But he was when the scans did come in, he was
happy. Everything was good.
I think he said super pleased.
He was super pleased.
And the results came back, what did they say?
You were unremarkable.
Unremarkable.
Again, I texted that to my sister, and she said, another day that you're happy your hubby is unremarkable. I said, he can be unremarkable all he wants.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that was our Tuesday.
Yep.
It was our Tuesday.
And then it was, my buddy was texting me because he was getting ready to go.
I was exhausted all Tuesday.
Yeah, he was getting ready to go. They were leaving out Saturday to go to Delaware, and he's like, are you excited? Are you excited? Are you excited? And I was like, no, it hasn't set in yet. I had to get through these scans. And then he's trying to give me advice on how to handle scan anxiety.
Which you can appreciate.
To an extent. But then it's like, how do you tell somebody how to handle scan anxiety when you don't understand it?
Well, you haven't been through it. Like, it's easy to say, I can see how that would make you nervous. But I mean, there have been scans that it's not even my brain, but I haven't slept for 2 days prior.
Right.
Or I cry the whole day before. Or I cry the whole day of.
I would say this one I wasn't. I mean, after the CT scan came back.
After they came back, I felt better.
I didn't have any. I was a little nervous. Not nervous. I was a little higher on the anxiety level, but not higher than normal, but not like over the top. Like
I felt better, but then when he moved your appointment around, I instantly thought I was going to get sick.
No, when he moved it around, I was just like, well, he's got an opening. He just wants to get it in now.
Again, this is how you and I view things differently.
Yeah, yep. So,
but yeah, everything was good, and we made it through the week, and you did really well with making a list for what you needed and packing your list.
So I'll say that, I had to start on Wednesday.
Because we've tried starting the day that we leave.
Yeah, so I started...
Or the day before, and it does not work.
I started Wednesday, and I wrote down, each day, like, we leave out on this day, we're here for this, here for, like, all the things we had scheduled through that week on a piece of paper. And then, so I knew kind of, okay, you got to have clothes for all these days, but this is the event, so you might need something better than, just a pair of pajama pants. And, and then it was like, okay, this is what I need, like, for our Sunday Live. I need the laptop and, the camera and the tripods for the podcast. I need the podcast stuff and the stands, the board, all that stuff. So then it was like my medicine. Let me go through, make sure my medicines are all filled up through the whole next week. All that stuff. Just the simple things. I was keeping it simple. And it come time to leave, and the stuff was in the car.
Everything is packed. I put everything in the car.
I had packed up what I needed, and I put it in the car. So there was nothing left that I was forgetting. Because, I went through the list. And I had everything checked off. And I'm standing there as we're getting ready to walk out the door. She's like, are you ready to leave? And I'm like, I don't know. Completely blank. Completely, like, brain lost. Like, it was almost, I'm dumbfounded. I had no idea what was going on. And she's going, what's wrong? I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. I'm forgetting something, and I'm holding the list in my hand, and I'm reading it.
I said, did you put everything on your list? And I went through the common things. Do you have your medicine?
Yep.
Do you have your chargers? Do you have your cords?
Yep.
Do you have your earphones? Do you have your hat? Because I saw you pack your clothes. I knew you had all that.
Yeah.
Because I watched you do things like that because I know you have it. And I pack everything that you need in the bathroom. So I knew we had all that.
There was nothing that I was forgetting, but my brain stopped, and I was deja vu. What am I doing in the kitchen? Why am I standing here? What is going on? Not a clue. What are we getting ready to do? I don't know.
And I think that's easily one of the hardest parts for me to watch you go through.
And it's
because it can be. It's very vulnerable of you. You know, to be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But it's also a fine line, because if I ask too many questions, you're mad. Because you don't know.
I don't know, and I don't have an answer. And
you get frustrated if I don't help you, but I don't know what I'm helping for. And
if you ever wanted to know what goes through the mind of an Alzheimer's patient, when they really...
It's the best thing you could imagine. This is the best dialogue.
It is seriously... I'm standing there. The brain is blank. There's no thoughts. There's not even the image of dark space in between my ears. And you're just waiting for something to happen. And when she says, hey, what are you doing? Hold on. I don't know. I'm waiting for the sign to say, over there, dummy.
I know. But the whole thing I was thinking was, we need to go.
Yep.
Because you're not a driver. And this driver was getting tired.
Yep. And but I couldn't think of what at all. And I just said, screw it, let's go. I've got the list still in my hand. And I carried that list to the car, and I held on to it for the first 30 minutes of our drive. And I still could not think of what I did not have. Mm-hmm. We've been here for a few days, and I have no idea what I was thinking that I forgot, because I haven't even needed part of the stuff that I did bring.
Well, that's normal.
Well, I did
a lot of stuff that you don't need.
The only thing that I brought that I hadn't used was the blood pressure monitor. I did bring that.
You're supposed to be using.
Yep, but I did bring it, and one book. I started reading a new book today, but the other one I still got to read.
So yeah. So we're here. We're here for a few more days.
Yep, and we ventured to the. So my one cousin in south of Atlanta, they send us pictures whenever they come home of this pizza place.
A lot of people, like,
and it's
my
not
best
even,
friend does it. She'll be like, "Look where I am."
Yep, and it's not even the billboard or the signage or anything like that. It's a picture of the pizza.
It could be one piece of pizza on a plate, and we are like, "We hate you."
Yeah, we know where that's at. Yep.
We hate you.
And this pizza place has been around since. I mean, I went to it as when I was in high school. It was not one of my mom's favorites, so when I was in high school, it's when I discovered it. And we went a lot after ball games and whatnot. Kind of like a little hangout spot. Mm-hmm. But we got to go there. An interesting thing that Pei had was she had, for her schooling, she had to pick a place or an event
that was new to her.
And
tell the story. Basically make an Instagram story about it.
But it had to include not just that you were there, but a little bit about the event, why it was special.
She had to write like a 300-word paper or something about it.
And so we chose this place here in town. It's called The Spot. Now, it has been around for 113 years. And I remember it as a staple here growing up, but we didn't go that often. Because a lot of times if we went out to eat, there was 5 of us. I mean, there was 3 kids and mom and dad, so that was costly. So even back then. So we wouldn't go a lot.
Yeah, you and I had never gone until we moved south.
And then we were telling the oldest one about it. She's like, I've never been there. So we went and went inside, and my nephews and niece were with us, and my dad. And I asked my nephew, so how many times you come? How often do you come here? He said, I've never been inside. I was like, what? He goes, we've gotten a few times in the drive-thru because they still have car hops, but I've never been inside. And it's like a 50s diner. And there's a plaque out front and a lot of pictures from when George W. Bush came in 2004. So that was really cool.
94, honey.
Was it 94? I thought it was 2004.
No, I don't think it was 2004. I think it was 94. Maybe it was. Maybe it was 2004.
I'll look.
04. I think it was 04.
I'm going to bet it was 04.
94 doesn't match.
No, I'm going to bet 04. But,
and we lived here, and I don't know if I even remembered that.
Yep. Yeah, we were here when he came through.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he came through because the motor brigade went up I-75 and they had shut down the highway. But the brigade had split off. So the brigade that went up the highway was the decoy, where the real one got off 2 exits early, came up back roads into town, and the Secret Service had all went inside and told everybody they couldn't leave until it was done. And it was supposedly the story was that he went in and got the Big Boy Burger, which is like a Big Mac, but it's thicker bun. and ordered it with extra onions or something like that, or just onions, and that became the Bush Burger. And the other story was that he enjoyed the pumpkin pie so much that he bought every Secret Service agent,
everybody on the campaign or in the bus or something,
everybody that was with him, bought them some pecan pie.
Wait, you said pumpkin. Was it pumpkin or pecan?
Pecan.
Okay, you said pumpkin earlier.
No, I meant pecan.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, pecan pie.
So we went there.
So Peg ordered that burger, the big boy burger, and she went up and got pecan pie. So she had essentially the meal that Bush had 19 years later. Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah.
You were going to say not 19 years?
I was, but then I said, oh, hey, you did some good math. No, you didn't do math. You just went with when a kid was born and how old they are.
No, I went with 2004. 24 would be 20 years.
Does it hit you that is the kid who was born that year and she is now 19?
No.
Now it did.
Shoot.
You can be amazed. You can be amazed at my quick wit and thinking processes.
See, moms think of stuff like that. Dads just throw numbers together any way they can.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I can remember a lot of things, Lee.
But we had there. That was pretty good spot.
Yeah, it was
the
good.
spot.
It was good.
And what's also interesting is the actor Rob Lowe, his grandpa used to own it. And when Rob Lowe lived in Dayton, him and his brothers would work for his grandpa during the summers. So Rob Lowe will actually tell stories on his podcast of growing up in Dayton and living in Dayton and working at the restaurant.
So yeah, when Soda Pop wants to grace the restaurant, The Outsiders, I think Rob Lowe was Soda Pop.
Yeah.
You have to go. You just have to go there.
And
Soda Pop Curtis.
It was funny because I was talking to one of the ladies, one of our old friends that I grew up with, and I don't remember talking to her much the last time we were up because I was like, woo, Twilight Zoning. But anyway, we were talking, and we were talking about this, and she said she remembers her mom swore up and down that because they were at the bowling alley a lot, and she swears that the Lowe brothers were at the bowling alley, and Rob was trying to steal her purse.
That's funny.
And I was like, what? And she goes, well, back at that time, Rob would have been in his early teens, like 13, 14, and pickpocketing's a thing, but if you saw a purse, he might have been just trying to see whose it was or picked it up to turn it in.
To move it or to do
something. To move it or something because
we will not say that he was ever like that.
Because, if you see a purse and nobody's around, then at that time you would, hey, I'm going to turn it in so somebody can come and get it. Well, she was bowling, I guess it was at the table on the other side. Like, how the bowling alley's got the tables, and then you take the steps down to the bowling alley where you got to
the lanes.
Yeah. So it might have been back. I don't know how. She didn't really get into that, but it was funny because she goes, "Yes, my mom swears to this day that Rob Lowe tried to steal her purse at the bowling alley."
That's funny.
Could she differentiate Rob from Chad? I doubt it.
Well, at that age, there would have been a differentiation because one would have been older and taller, and one would be shorter.
But did she really know that that's who it was, or was it just the correlation between? You don't know.
If that wants to be her celebrity sighting, let that be her celebrity sighting. Don't take it from her.
So they were just rolling as they were telling me the story. I thought that was pretty funny. But yep.
It's been a tiring 4 days.
It has.
Today was 4 days? It's been 3 days.
3 days. Yeah, today being Monday, Melanoma Monday. We did. I slept in. And I slept in. I went to bed last night at like 10:30, 11. I didn't get out of, well, I woke up a couple times, but I wasn't up to go get coffee until about 10:20.
Mm-hmm. I was up earlier.
And still was like wore out. But
I did take a little nap, so.
The other exciting thing was, so next week is my godson's 11th birthday. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, I got invited over to his birthday party that they were having early because the oldest sister was in town, and so that way all the family was in. So they invited us over, and we got over there, and it was really kind of neat to see. This is probably the first time in his 11 years that we were here for his birthday party.
We've never been here for his birthday. We always just send his stuff up.
And I was able to give him his birthday presents the week of his birthday. Normally I'm months late. There's been times.
If this tells you anything, like, this is one of those things you do. You still have his Easter card and his Valentine's Day card. And I knew they were never going to get sent. You just need to put them up for next year. And I will just do better at getting them out for you.
Or I'll probably just send them like in October. Send the Easter one and be like, well, I'm late. Imagine that.
Just hold them for next year at this point.
Because we kind of laughed because I was like, hey, I got your birthday present on the card. Do you want it now or you want it later? And he said, later's fine. I was like, okay. I said, now, it's not wrapped. You have to give me a day or so to get it wrapped. He's like, that's fine. It doesn't need to be wrapped, but I'd prefer it if it was wrapped. I was like, okay. So we ended up wrapping them and giving them to him. And, it was kind of neat that he's able to get them in the same month. Yeah. A few days early even.
I knew we were on it.
And he just kind of laughed and he's like, yeah, okay. But
he's a good kid. He would never be like, well, you suck, Godfather.
Yeah. And it's hard trying to be the Godfather from so far away. And especially the last couple of years have been Twilight Zone, so
they've just been messy.
It's been rough. I think about the kid all the time though. And it's been rough. Then I had the ideas where I'm like, I'm just going to send postcards or stuff like that, or little cards here and there.
You have good thoughts. Your follow through kind of sucks.
Yes.
Maybe you need to make a post-it note for that.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to make a note so you can see it, like visually see that.
Make a deadline.
But I think you just need to write it down, because if it stays in your mind, you forget it. But if you write it down and you can read it, you're like, oh, that's right, I have to do that. Oh, that's right, I have to do that.
Yep. I got a couple guys I was going to send some stickers and stuff to, and I hadn't done that yet. So that is wrote down.
Okay, you need to share with me, and I'll make sure that gets done for you.
But it's been a great time home. Mm-hmm. Got to be a little sad, just some of the driving some of the old back roads, and you just get flooded with all kinds of thoughts and memories and whatnot, and it got kind of built up a little bit, on the drive and one of the drive homes. But that happens.
You lived a lot of life here.
I did.
And there are times like when you see other kids together that I'm like, gosh, it'd be so nice to come home and just let them be together. But then I'm like, you know what? They wouldn't value that time, I don't think, near as well. They wouldn't value that importance. Yeah. Near as much as I think they do when we do make it home.
Well, and like having my nephew, my oldest nephew.
I think he's been here for 3 days.
He stayed here 3 days.
We've seen all the kids for 3 days, which is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And having him running with R2, mm-hmm. and they're running with 3 or 4 of my older cousin's kids, and he's like, as long as I've known you, I've never known you. Like, they would all run around as kids in the batch of kids, like at the family gatherings, but not like, you know, breaking off and...
Hey, tell me about your day. How was your day today? It was all very superficial.
And a lot of it's...
in a fun, innocent kid play way.
Yeah, and a lot of it's because he, you know, his dad or my brother and Kenny, he's younger. Andy's a couple of years younger than Andy, but they hang out together a lot. So where Nathan and I...
those kids are all close.
Yeah, so where Nathan and I hung out together, Andy and Kenny hang out together, and so their kids naturally are closer.
Do you see that neither one of you invited the girls? I'm just going to say that. You have girl cousins, and you're like, well, these two boys hung out, and these two boys, but you never invited the girls.
Well, we did.
I'm just kidding.
But here was the thing was...
Your girls were good.
They were. And so...
Your girl cousins were good.
So my one girl cousin was always with a boyfriend. The other girl cousin, who was my age, always had a boyfriend or wasn't allowed to be in the places that I was because I was a little rowdy. And so the places
I'm going to go with they were good and they were doing good, wholesome things.
Yes.
And you boys were not necessarily being wholesome.
Well, I will say, and that I can put it on. We didn't have any trouble with the law.
No, you didn't.
We were never running from the law. So we had no run-ins with the law. So we had that going for us. So the girl cousins weren't around us. The one did start kind of hanging out with us a bit after her serious boyfriend and her split, and she was going to college. College seemed to, but she still wasn't on the rowdy lines that me and her brother were.
Yeah. Which
is good. I mean, if you ever find yourself tackling a pine tree outside of a bar.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but it was good to sit down and talk with family, and my uncle had said, "Man," he goes, "I saw the picture you tubing." He goes, "That is fantastic." He said, "And your outfit was amazing." And he was kind of laughing. I was like, when I was sitting on the float and I'm looking around and there's people half naked wearing just their, the string bikinis or the
you said skivvies.
Skivvies, they're just their breeches. And then here I am. I got, I'm covered, all of my cheeks,
head to toe,
cheeks
basically.
And toes.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, it looked great.
He said, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But it's been a good week, and then today was just kind of like a laid back, and I've got to culinarily recover. I mean, it hasn't been bad.
Lee, do not kid yourself.
Well, so we went to the party, and the only thing I had
hot dogs.
The only thing I had was some hot dogs that I made, no buns, just a hot dog.
I had 2 hot dogs.
I had nothing else. Well, I had a small, 1 inch by 1 inch square of cookie that I split with one of the girls. And because it had all this icing on it, I said, if you eat the icing, I'll eat the cookie. And she said, well, that defeats the purpose of eating the cookie. And I was like, okay, well, give me just this little piece. And it was no bigger than my thumbnail. And that was my cookie. And then I had about 4 hot dogs while I was cooking them.
Yeah, I had 2 hot dogs and I had beer.
And I had a lot of.
That's what I ate.
I had a handful or 2 of non-alcoholic Busch beers.
I went cheap beer.
You did. You enjoyed it actually.
It was good, but it was also kind of I never really drank a lot prior, so it was kind of like a specialty.
Yeah, that stuff used to always give me a headache.
No, I woke up fine, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah. We had that. We had pizza. We had a hamburger place today. It feels like we're eating more, but if we break it down, we're eating one meal a day still.
It's still basically your one meal a day, but it's more carbohydrates.
We're going out for.
Today we went to Culver's, which is a butter burger place.
It was good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I got a Reuben sandwich and a side salad. I was like, I don't want any fries. When we
I
went
got a kids meal so they could get ice cream. I had to plan it. Get the kids meal.
Yeah. And at the spot, I got a tenderloin sandwich, which is what I used to always get growing up. And I remember them being huge, and it was about half the size of what I remember. But hey, I'm also twice the size of what I was then. Well, now actually I'm about the same size I was then. But and I ordered onion rings because I remember the onion rings, and they weren't the same, but they tasted the same. But I couldn't eat them.
You would always pick an onion ring though over a fry.
And they gave me fries, and along with the onion rings, and I was like, I don't even want the fries.
No, we gave those to our nephew.
Yeah, I ate a couple of them. I was like, here, and
you didn't want them, but he finished them, I think.
Yeah, he was trying to be macho. Well, I'm not going to eat that. And then as I look around and I'm not paying attention, he's sliding 2 or 3 in his mouth, and I was like, whatever, I don't care. But I got about halfway through the onion rings, and I was done. So
yeah, so this was our week, and we have a little bit more week to go, and we'll head home maybe Sunday. I might head home Sunday. Here's the secret. Don't look at me like that. I can head home Sunday. I'm the one driving.
It's one of those that it's nice to, I don't want to say relive that last trip, but be able to do that.
To be able to be here to do it.
I want to say do it differently, but I'm able to remember it and enjoy it. Without this, something's off and I don't know what it is. And then knowing what we went through to get to here right now, where I can do it again. I don't know.
Well, I always tell you, another time that I get to have you do an event and be here and celebrate in something.
Yeah, because it's a huge blessing. I mean,
it always feels good to be like, thank you for giving us another event.
Yeah. If things were to go sideways, and I remember things that didn't happen. I remember things that I shouldn't remember, and I'll hold on to things like seeing my cousin and not knowing her face for 30 minutes, even though I'm looking her dead in her eyes. We're eye contact, and I have no idea who you are for 30 minutes. That bothered me. And she was like, really? That happened? I'm like, you were there. But, that's the justification. I don't want to say justification, but the being able to relive this in a brighter light or a more positive, I don't know, it's not a do-over, but
a redeeming way, maybe. You get to redeem
maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Maybe that's the word. It's just you get to do it and have a different outcome. You get to enjoy it, have a different outcome, and just feel better.
Yeah.
About it. It's just about the whole thing. And I'm just like, thank you for giving us another one. And we don't have to go back and do, well, you have a couple other appointments, but the big ones come back in September, the end of September. So.
Yep, we got a few more months to live.
Yeah, we do.
Like actually, and I don't mean just like heart beating, but I mean.
Like go do the things we want to do. Go see the things we want to see. Go spend the time where we want to spend it.
It's my uncle asked me, he said, are you going to be able to go back to work? And I said, nah, I still get mentally whopper-jawed, and that's the hard part is they're like, you look great, but inside I'm still,
Well, there's just a lot of things that you would be required required to do physically and mentally to work. And I don't think physically things can come back. But that's going to be, you making that decision to do the things to make those come back. Mentally, some of it's going to come back, but
if something like any kind of, this is one thing that I had trouble explaining to, and I was telling my uncle this. I kept getting asked, "Are you getting excited? Are you getting excited?" And where I am mentally, I have to harness my emotions, good, bad, indifferent. I have to hold them in, and I have to downplay them.
You have to process them.
I have to downplay everything because, for the simple fact is, if I start getting like a kid on Christmas morning, I will be that person after in Men in Black after they get the little light flashy zap, where they're just staring off into space. That's what happens when I get excited. The light goes off, and I'm like, okay. So I have to harness and downplay all my excitement, all my emotions, my depression, everything, anything in between. I have to harness that because that happens. And if that happens, I'm in a store, or if I'm, cutting grass, that's things, bad things could happen. So that is a one thing that I don't know. Hopefully, goes away. But it's hard to explain. And I think that's the best way I could do it. It's the old flashy thing from Men in Black. Because I was kind of feeling that way when it was time to leave, and I'm like,
and on this side, you're really hard to deal with when you're like that, because you get grumpy, we can see the anxiety, you get short-tempered, you get a little selfish in your desires and your wants. It's like, stop and do what I want to do, but I can't tell you what I want to do, but I need you to do what I want you to do.
Yeah, and that's my way of asking for help without knowing what to do.
And the easiest thing, and we all hate it, but we're just like, just walk away. Either walk away or follow behind him for when he barks an order at you to do something. And you don't mean to do it, and we know that you're not doing it to be mean.
Right.
But it's hard to do it. And that's why I'm so, hey, today what you doing? Nothing? Okay, I need you to start doing the stuff that you have to do for the weekend. And it's like that anytime. It's not just coming here.
You kind of have to plant the seed to say, hey, we're doing this weekend. What do you need to make sure you have ready?
What you need to do, make me a list, write it down.
Yeah.
Without telling you, because good gosh, if I tell you what to do, you're mad at that too.
And that's true.
So it's walking a fine line of sorts, and it's not your fault.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff
I think it's learning. I was talking to your aunt about this, and I said I think it's the learning that it's the learning to walk that fine line with you. And I said, my friend back home, my best friend back home, is a speech and memory care therapist. And I remember her saying, when you're working with this patient, they have a reaction time of like 2 minutes. So you ask them a question and you need to wait.
Yeah.
And you need to wait. You can't say anything, because if you ask a follow-up question, their response time just started over.
Yeah.
And your aunt said, thank you, because I might need to try that in my house. Like there's some things going on there. And they're like, it's like they don't know how to answer. And I said, oh no, so I wait. And if I don't see the eyes flicker like, oh, I get what she's talking about, I'm like, did you hear me? And then, yeah, okay. what don't you understand? And it sounds sometimes like I'm being mean, but I'm like, I try to give you that response time to answer the question. Tell me, because there's something blocking you. It wasn't something I said, something you don't remember, something. But if you don't tell me what's blocking you, I don't know the next question to ask, and then you're frustrated.
And sometimes when that happens, and it's pinballing, boom, 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 all over, and it hasn't hit the right spot to, oh, hey, there's a, you get the extra ball or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I get that. I mean, that's where that is, where it's just bouncing around, and it hasn't hit the spot where the bumper that says, hey, you get the extra ball.
And because of that, I can't imagine you going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine you answering any customer questions.
Yep.
Like, even if we downplayed your work from something super high stressful or physical into even being a clerk, the minute they would pepper you with questions, you would be,
yeah.
Listen, I don't know.
Yeah.
And your typical response is to walk away. So that wouldn't keep you employed very long.
That's true.
So.
But going back to my old job, there's no way, because I don't have the, and that's what I was telling my uncles, I don't have the multitasking skills.
You don't have the time management skills. You don't have the ability to take 3 steps ahead.
Right.
Or to plan for, if this happens, I have to respond this way. Like, if you were packing the clothes we brought, and then I said, hey, while you're doing that, I need you to go downstairs and make a cup of coffee and come back, you can finish, you would have unpacked everything and started over. Like,
probably.
You wouldn't have been able to come back to the task without.
I probably would have unpacked. Well, yeah.
That's because you wouldn't know where you
there.
stopped.
Yeah.
And you have to start that task
over again. Yep.
And so that doesn't work in a lot of jobs.
Right.
So, I mean,
and in driving, I mean, I've harped on this a lot. I don't want to say harped. I've discussed this a lot. Sorry for the words. I've discussed it a lot, and I've been trying to do a lot of short drives, cross towns or whatever, and that's fine.
I try to keep you under an hour.
Yes.
If I'm driving. I ask you a lot, are you okay? Are you okay?
The drive up, it was a 9-hour drive, because we had to stop a couple times.
I know.
And I was riding shotgun. And we're talking, it was sunlight, and then, because we got hit the road about 7:30, and we hit dusk, and then it went dark, and
I don't know where Virginia went, because I don't remember driving in it.
Well, you came too, she was on the highway, and she's just driving, and she's like, hey, we're going to stop at the Virginia line, North Carolina, Virginia line, and I said, okay. Well, then I started noticing so I was watching a video on my phone, because looking out the windshield made me nauseous.
Makes you sick.
And so I could look out the side door, and I'm fine. Or I could sit, and there's one spot on the windshield, the lower passenger side, before it goes to the door. I could look out there, and I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But looking straight ahead at night, it made me nauseous. So I was watching my phone, and she's like, well, I'm going to stop at the Virginia line. I was like, all right, cool. And I look, and I'm like, okay, we got about 15 more miles. Well, I watch a video or two, and then I look up, and I'm like, exit 5 we just passed. All right, we're getting close. Exit 19. Exit 24. So wait a minute, these are going up. We're in Virginia.
I don't remember seeing a sign. I'm always the sign watcher.
Yep.
I didn't see a sign. And the one part, I was like, this happens in Virginia. Like, it feels like you get off the interstate and you go and you kind of circle around, and there's a couple like grocery stores or stores and a gas station, and then you get back on the interstate. It's this really weird. Yep.
It's twist. where the junction happens.
Yes. And I'm like, that doesn't happen in North Carolina. That happens in Virginia.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I did not see a Virginia sign.
So what the good thing was is she was happy driving. She was in her zone.
I was zoned.
Because the girls were playing, they had their music playing, and you were bopping along. Mm-hmm. So you weren't really like listening to a podcast where you're kind of half listening. I mean, you were singing, you were bopping, so
we were good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'll be damned. There's a sign that says Beckley's coming.
Yeah.
And like 40 miles. And I'm like, well, I'm in West Virginia. Not sure where that sign was either.
We tried to get the picture for Cub, and it didn't work.
And the one is like...
No, I did get the video. So I got a couple of videos of going through the 2 tunnels in
and that's where
Virginia.
I'm like...
And then you come out of Virginia.
You come out the second tunnel and you're in West Virginia.
Yeah, you got about 100 yards or something. And
I didn't see that sign either.
Yeah, I've got it on video.
That's why I was shocked when the sign said, hey, you're going to be in Beckley, because I know that's in Virginia, or West Virginia.
Yep.
So, and that's where I switched off and I let the kids drive. I think
yep,
after
so the kids,
all day, I was done.
We let the kids get a little ride in, and I rode shotgun with them because it was the first time on this stretch of the highway.
I will tell you one thing I'm very upset about this whole journey that we have been on. Something that has been robbed of me that I did not know was robbed of me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep in the car. I nodded off, but I could hear you still talking. I could hear you guys talking when I was not driving.
Well, maybe if you rode shotgun, you would have been able to.
Because anytime I have been in the car,
but normally,
I can sleep soundly.
It's a comfort level, because normally I'm driving and you're in.
So
when I was driving, you were completely comfortable and safe.
Yes.
When the kids are, the thought of the kids.
When you were driving, I was awake again. I got a second wind.
Yeah, so I drove like the last 35 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But maybe it was. Maybe I was too nervous when the kids were driving.
I think that's what it is it was a comfort level.
Please let it be, because I enjoy a nice car nap.
Yep.
I haven't got to have one for a long time, but I enjoy a nice car nap.
Yep, I think that's what it was. It's comfort, because you knew that
I'm really hoping that
they were driving, and this was their first time on the highway, on this stretch of highway, and
I'm just hoping that was not taken from me forever, because I really, really enjoy sleeping.
Well, if it's any consolation, I didn't sleep either.
Yeah, you normally do too. So.
But we got some more. We got some more stuff planned this week.
We do.
Living, not just
doing stuff we want to do in the time we have to do it, and not worrying about all the other stuff. I'm not worrying about.
Yeah. We're gonna live and make some memories.
I can't take anything with us, so we might as well.
That's
live it while we're able to, and
that's what I kind of looked at this weekend, being back home and being able to do these things. And if something would go sideways, I don't want the last memory to be, well, he was a freaking zombie. He didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Right.
All this stuff. And yeah, we came back for Thanksgiving after brain surgery, before treatments.
Well, and I really pushed you for that, because I didn't know if it was going to go sideways.
And then we came back.
That was my fear.
We came back for pay. She wanted her graduation party with Macy, because they're the same age, and they just had a joint family graduation party, and that was great. But I was still a little wonky, a little shaky, but. This one was good, and the cousins and the nieces and nephews are a little bit older, so they're going to remember a lot more.
Yeah, we hope.
A lot more positive
memories. If this was the last one we had, that you were good, you looked good, you were happy, we were happy.
So and had good conversations with aunts and uncles that I hadn't done in quite a while.
Right. So
seeing good friends that I hadn't talked to in a while, and caught up a little bit. So very, very, very blessed in being able to do this.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's get off here. Let's go live a little bit more out here.
Yep. So we're gonna get out of here
and the rest of our week.
Yeah. So everybody, just enjoy the time you got. I mean, even if it's just sitting around eating a hot dog, who cares? Enjoy it. Have fun. You know, cook it unconventional just for the kids. You know, why not? Do something different. Enjoy the time you got. And what's the saying? Every day is not a good day, but there's something good in every day.
You did it.
I got it.
You got it.
I really like that quote, and I always jack it up.
You do. You do jack up things you really mean to say.
I do.
Just saying.
I do, but...
Coming from your wife of many years, you're really good at jacking up a good saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As you good, kind, sweet sentiment, just jack the hell out of that. But you did good today.
I remembered it. I remember. So, y'all, be that something good today, and get out there and enjoy it. We will catch you all next week.
Back home in the closet.
Yep. Back to the closet.
Maybe we shouldn't say back to the closet. I mean, it's fine if you're in the closet and you come out of the closet and you go back to the closet, but we don't live in the closet for any of that reasoning.
So next week we'll be back at the bear cave. How's that?
Just saying. Love is love. Be whoever. Happy people.
Whoop, I'd already stopped it. So,
okay,
all right. Well, anyway, y'all have a great week.
They got bonus features.